Welcome back to the Revenge Chronicles, the place where real stories of betrayal, heartbreak, and justice come to life. If you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because trust me, you don't want to miss the roller coaster ride of emotions we share on this channel. Now, let me take you into one of the most painful and shocking experiences of my life, a story that started with just a single voice message from my own daughter. It said, "Mom, you won't be flying with us. My husband doesn't want you to." Tell me, honestly, if your child sent you something like that, how would you react? Would you accept it quietly? Would you fight back? Or would you just break apart inside? Because I can tell you, hearing those words nearly shattered me. I still remember the exact moment I heard it. I was in my kitchen, coffee in hand, phone on the counter, when the notification came through. I smiled because it was a message from my daughter. I thought it would be something sweet, maybe a photo of the grandkids, maybe just a little update. But instead, I pressed play and heard her voice, sharp and final. "You won't be flying with us. My husband doesn't want you to." My heart dropped into my stomach. I felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. My own daughter, the girl I raised, the one I sacrificed everything for, telling me that I was unwanted. And not even in her own words, but in his. My son-in-law's decision had suddenly become hers, and I was left standing there, rejected, humiliated, and completely blindsided. Now, to really understand why that one message cut so deeply, I need to take you back. I was a single mom. My husband left when my daughter was just 6 years old. It was me and her against the world. I worked 2 jobs, sometimes 3, to make sure she had everything she needed. I missed out on sleep, I missed out on friendships, and I missed out on my own life because she was my life. Every birthday, every school play, every doctor's appointment, I was there. I was mother and father rolled into one, doing everything in my power to protect her and make her feel loved. And for a long time, I thought she appreciated that. She used to hug me and say, "Mom, when I grow up, I'm going to take care of you the way you took care of me." I held on to those words like a promise. But something started changing when she met her husband, let's call him Ryan. At first, I thought he was charming. He came from money, the kind of family that looked down their nose at people like me, but I didn't care about that. I only cared that he made my daughter happy. Or at least that's what I told myself. The truth is, from the very beginning, I noticed little red flags. He was controlling in subtle ways, deciding where they would eat, how she should dress, even which friends were good influences. But every time I tried to point something out, my daughter would get defensive. "Mom, he just wants what's best for me," she'd say, or "You're reading too much into it." So I bit my tongue. I wanted to be supportive. I didn't want to lose her. Fast forward to their wedding. I paid for part of it, even though I couldn't really afford to. I did it because I wanted her day to be perfect. I smiled through it all, even though I noticed how Ryan's family barely acknowledged me, treating me like I was invisible. I told myself it didn't matter because my daughter was happy. That's all I wanted. But after the wedding, the distance between us started to grow. She would call less, visit less, and every time she did, Ryan was always there, hovering, watching, making me feel like an outsider in my own daughter's life. Then came the grandkids. Oh, how I loved those babies. Holding them in my arms, I felt like I had a purpose again. I thought maybe this would bring us closer. But instead, it became another tool for control. Ryan decided when I could see them, how long I could stay, and even what I was allowed to bring them as gifts. If I showed up with too much, he'd make a comment about me trying to buy affection. If I brought too little, he'd say I wasn't putting in effort. I couldn't win. And my daughter? She never defended me. She just stood by his side, silent. So when I heard that message, the one telling me I wasn't welcome on their family trip, it wasn't just about the vacation. It was about years of being pushed aside, silenced, and made to feel small. It was about realizing that my daughter had chosen him over me, time and time again. It was about the final confirmation that in their eyes, I was no longer family. I played that message over and over, hoping maybe I misheard, maybe she didn't mean it that way. But no, it was clear. You won't be flying with us. My husband doesn't want you to. Not, we thought it would be better if you stayed. Not, I need some space. Just a cold, blunt dismissal delivered like an order. I cried that night harder than I've cried in years. I felt like my heart had been ripped out of my chest. And I kept asking myself, was I wrong somewhere along the way? Did I smother her too much? Did I make her feel like she owed me something she couldn't give? Or was this really just him manipulating her, turning her against me? So that's the situation I was in. Alone in my kitchen, broken by a single message, and faced with an impossible question. Do I stay quiet and let them treat me like this? Or do I stand up for myself and risk losing my daughter forever? Before I tell you what I did next, I want you to stop and think, if this were your child, if you had sacrificed everything for them only to be told you weren't welcome anymore, what would you do? Would you walk away with your dignity, or would you fight for your place in their life? Comment below because I really want to know if I'm the only one who struggles with this. Now, back to what happened next. After a night of tears and no sleep, I decided I wasn't going to just accept it. I picked up the phone and called her. When she answered, her tone was already defensive, like she had been waiting for me to react. I said, "Honey, I got your message. Can we talk about it?" She sighed and said, "Mom, please don't make this a big deal. Ryan just thinks it would be less stressful if it's just us on the trip." Less stressful? Since when was my presence stressful? I asked her that, and she hesitated before saying, "Mom, you know how you are sometimes. You get anxious, you ask a lot of questions, and it makes him uncomfortable." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I raised my voice, I'll admit it. I said, "Uncomfortable? I'm your mother, not some stranger. Do you even hear yourself right now?" But she stayed silent, and in that silence, I heard the truth. She wasn't going to fight for me. That realization broke something inside me. I told her, if your husband's comfort means more to you than your own mother, then fine, I won't come. But don't expect me to keep pretending like everything is okay. She didn't respond. She just hung up. And in that moment, I knew I had lost her, at least for now. The aftermath has been brutal. Weeks went by without a call. No photos of the grandkids, no check-ins, nothing. When I finally reached out, it was short and cold responses. "We're busy, maybe next week." I could feel myself being erased from their lives, piece by piece. And I started to wonder, maybe that was Ryan's plan all along, to isolate her completely, to make sure she had no one but him. But here's the thing about me. I may bend, but I don't break. I decided that if they were going to push me out, I wasn't going quietly. I started documenting everything, the messages, the times they canceled on me, the way he spoke to me when he thought no one else was listening. Because if this ever comes to a fight, I want the truth to be known. And more importantly, I want my grandkids to know that I fought for them, that I didn't just give up. So that's my story. It's not wrapped up nicely with a happy ending, but it's real. And sometimes real life is messy and heartbreaking. If you were on my side, hit that like button. If you think I should have handled it differently, tell me in the comments. I want to hear your perspective. And don't forget to subscribe to the Revenge Chronicles for more stories like this, because trust me, there are plenty more where this came from. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here with me through this pain. And I'll see you all in the next story.